Blessed be everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing a video about self-compassion and the craft. Now I should have done this as a live a couple of weeks ago, so I'm doing it now as a video. So I'm just sitting here at my computer and I'm going to just go through my notes of the things that I wrote down for the live. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. My name is Sandra. I am the author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. If you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, tarot, magic, and shadow work, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you do want to start your witchcraft practice, but you're just a bit confused about where do I start, what do I do, what order do I do it in, I have a free video. It's called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, and there's a link in the description field below this video. I also have another masterclass that fits in quite well with this video. It's how to heal your shadow through balancing your energy centers. And seeing we're talking about self-compassion today, shadow work does enter into that, and I will touch on that in the video. That free masterclass is just to tell you a little bit about shadow work, what that is, and how that relates also to your chakras. So if you're wanting to heal your shadow, you can actually do that through the chakra system. So that's a free masterclass as well, and there's a link in the description field below this video for how you can grab that. Now you can see all of these freebies that I have on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. And go to my freebies tab on the website and you'll be able to download all of the freebies that are on there, as well as see what else is on the website as well. So let's dig in to self-compassion and what is it and why is it so important? Now, a lot of us struggle with self-judgment, self-doubt, and lack of self-compassion, beating ourselves up, sometimes even to the point of feeling hatred towards ourselves. It can be that strong. And I know I've certainly felt that at times, where there's things about ourselves that we're just not happy with. We wish we were better in some way and we're wanting to change in some way, but try as we might, it can be very difficult to do that. And so we can really beat ourselves up when it comes to that. And this is going to interfere with your magic, not just your magic. It's going to interfere obviously with your happiness, but particularly with your magic as well. So what can you do about it? How can you have more compassion for yourself? Because we're all flawed. None of us are perfect and we don't get it right all the time. And sometimes we do get it right. We fail, we make mistakes. We're human, and that's what having a human experience is all about. And that includes the mistakes we make in magic and even on the spiritual path. We're going to make mistakes there too. So that is life, and we have to give ourselves the same degree of compassion that we would give other people. So that's the first place to look when it comes to this, is how much more compassion do I give other people than I actually give myself? You need to be able to ease up on that harsh self-criticism. Now, I know when we're doing shadow work, sometimes shadow work is sort of seen as us really tapping into those parts of ourselves that we don't like, things about ourselves that are like, arrogance and selfishness, those kinds of things. But that's not to beat yourself up, because we're all arrogant to some degree and we're all selfish to some degree. And that's not necessarily bad all the time. We do need to be confident about ourselves. But when that confidence isn't being expressed in a positive way, it can turn into arrogance. We do need to care for ourselves and say no sometimes. And that means sometimes we do have to put ourselves first, and that can be seen as selfish. But sometimes you need to do that. And this is what this is about. It's about, do I put myself on the same level as other people? Do I give people more leeway, forgiveness, than I do myself? And how is this affecting the magic and the way that you feel about yourself? So we need to have some mindset shifts when it comes to navigating the challenges and also navigating how we're going with our craft, because magic doesn't always work either. Sometimes we can do magic and for some reason it just doesn't seem to be happening the way we'd like it to happen. And once again, that can come back to how we're feeling about ourselves and the world and not that you're crappy at magic, just simply that there's something there that's just stopping you from being able to take those opportunities when they come, or even recognize those opportunities when they come. So what are some of the ways that you can be more compassionate for yourself? Give yourself a little bit more self-love and forgiveness for yourself. One of those ways is doing a ritual. Now, some time ago, I did a self-love tea ritual. I'll try to remember to put a link to that in the description field below this video so that you can go and have a look at that. Because ritual is a wonderful way of being able to tune out the rest of the world and focus in on what it is that you're wanting to do. It's a time that you can turn up for yourself, and even turning up for yourself every day on a daily basis and doing a daily practice to connect with yourself, to connect with the God and Goddess, and to connect with nature is a way of having compassion for yourself and love for yourself. It's putting your spirituality first. And your path does actually have to come first, because when you're happy in yourself, then you're going to find that there's more happiness to give to other people. There's more that you can give to other people, and the more other people will benefit from the fact that you're feeling good about yourself. What you do to yourself does actually carry out into the world, and it does affect other people. So rather than some of the older religious traditions that talked about denying the self and self-sacrifice all the time, this is really about understanding that you can't really help anyone until you help yourself first. If the plane's going down, you do have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can then have the oxygen to make sure that your kids or whoever it is that you may be helping can then have their oxygen mask. So try some ritual, try something really simple for 9 days, 9 being the magic number of the goddess. For 9 days, every day, light a pink candle or a white candle and focus in on what you're good at, what you know you're good at, how you affect other people in a positive way. What are your gifts to others in the world? You know, what do people say that they like about you or thank you for? All of those things. And if you don't know, ask somebody. Ask somebody one thing that they like about you. It might be a relative, it might be a friend, and just ask them to give you a list of those things. Now, deep down inside, you do know these things. The inner critic might criticize them. The inner critic might be saying, you know, oh no, you're not really that good, you only think you are. Just try to ignore that inner critic for now, because it's not compassionate towards you and you don't want to listen to it. So focus in on what you know that you're good at, particularly when it comes to helping other people. And every day, write down, those 9 days, write down something different. You could put it on a piece of paper and place it under the candle. And as you focus on the flame, focus on what that feels like. What does it feel like to know that in some way you're helpful in the world? You have purpose in the world. Even if it's just for one other person, or even if it's just for your pet. You have others that you are affecting in the world. When we're focusing on what we can do for other people in the world that's positive, it does help us feel more compassion for ourselves. It's hard to feel really a lot of compassion when you're not focusing on the things that you do that help inspire other people, because we are a communal species. What are you happy with in yourself? And focus on that. You may find that your heart chakra will open up as you focus on those feelings. Focus on hearing other people's comments about these qualities that you have. If you're on social media and you get people complimenting you, for example, or thanking you for things that you've helped them with, what does that feel like? When people give you gratitude and thanks, you need to be able to accept it. And the more you can accept other people's gratitude and thanks, the more gratitude and thanks you're actually going to get. And that will also trickle down to how you feel about yourself too. And that's a simple ritual that you can do. Another way that you can help ease off some of this negativity that you may have towards yourself is to give yourself a cleansing and a consecration like you would your magical tools or something that you're going to use for a spell, like a candle or something. So you could use incense and just put that incense around you. And as you're consecrating yourself with the incense, just feel that cleansing nature. You're giving yourself a beautiful energetic bath. And focus once again on what it feels like to feel compassion. You may have to use someone else that you may feel more compassion for at first to get the feeling. But once you've got that feeling, then allow it to be for yourself. You can also do this with salt water, or you could have a self-love or a self-compassion bath in some rose petals or some jasmine or something like that. And just focus in once again on the things about yourself that when you get feedback from other people about, it feels good. And it's good to feel good about yourself. There's nothing wrong with having that a little bit of pride in a positive sense, because it lets you know that you're on the right track and that you are helping others in the world in some way, shape or form, even if it's just your presence, even if it's just another person or a pet. Another thing you can do, of course, is the shadow work, but do the shadow work without the self-judgment, without beating yourself up. And acknowledge when you are looking at the qualities of yourself that you don't like, that you also have qualities that are really, really good and really, really positive. And that even though you may have some selfishness and arrogance and some narcissism and all sorts of things in your shadow, so does everybody else. And you also have the opposite of that too. It's just that we tend to be more focused on the negative. In some spiritual traditions, we're told we're not even supposed to have these shadow qualities, that if we're spiritually enlightened people, we wouldn't even have some of those shadow qualities. But the truth is, we all have them, and it's all part of the polarity of being a human. And we have to acknowledge these things and integrate them so that we're not only focusing on the negative. And I have been certainly guilty of that, where I know my shadow quite well. And so I forget that I actually, yes, I have a shadow for sure. And sometimes I just feel that that shadow is kind of more of who I am, and that if I am doing anything that is talking about, love and kindness and compassion, that somehow I'm being a hypocrite because of the shadow side of myself, forgetting that I still have that other side. So whilst there may be parts of me that are more in the shadow, there's also those parts that are the opposite too. So you do need to focus on those as well when you're doing shadow work. And for this self-compassion work, just having a look at your inner critic and writing down the things your inner critic is saying to you, and look for the opposite. Even though your inner critic may be saying to you, oh, you're selfish, that you're arrogant about this, that, and the other. Where are you not arrogant? When are you not selfish? And notice that there's a balance there. So don't focus so much on the negative. Also look at the qualities of yourself that are quite positive. A tip for helping you with that, and I have spoken about this before on other videos, is if you admire somebody, so if there's somebody that you know, it might be somebody you know personally, or it might be somebody that you follow on social media or in the entertainment industry that you admire in some way. Write down 3 characteristics of that person you admire and what it is about those characteristics, why you admire them in that person, and then look for them within yourself, because these are light shadow qualities that you're not allowing yourself to express or even acknowledge, because we do that with the light side too, not just with the dark side. So whilst a lot of us might not acknowledge our narcissism, many of us can. But you also need to acknowledge the part of you that is loving and compassionate and giving and all of those aspects too. And if you're admiring those things in another person and you feel you don't have them yourself, if you can see them in another person, you have them. So that means you also have those wonderful qualities too. You're just not allowing yourself to express them. You can also do other modalities like tapping. I have a tapping video coming out this week as well, and on my tapping channel at Sandra Inman Tapping, where I'll be tapping on some of these beliefs that you might have about yourself that are keeping you stuck in not forgiving yourself, in not feeling self-love, for example. So you can tap away at those too so that you can start to heal some of that. You can invoke deities for support. Now you could focus on the deities like Aphrodite or Freya or Tara, Kuan Yin, depending on what pantheon you work with, deities that maybe represent love, so that you can focus on that love within yourself. But I also like to work with Hecate with these things too. And though Hecate may seem like not the sort of deity you work with for compassion, because she's not given that reputation, by people tend to work with her in either a shadow work sense or a darker sense. She helps you go into the shadows, and that's not just the dark shadows, also the light shadows. She's a goddess of the three worlds, so she's also a goddess of the upper world as well, which means that she will also help you look within yourself and see the parts of yourself that you're not accepting, and that's the light and the dark. She's a wonderful deity to work with in that way. And if you ask to work with her in that way, she will help you find ways to become more loving and more compassionate towards yourself. The forgiveness thing is a big thing, I think, with all of us. And often we have to forgive ourselves for not being perfect, for making mistakes. They're the things that we need to do. And even if you do make mistakes, listen to yourself when you make them. Do you tell yourself you're stupid? Do you tell yourself you're an idiot? Those kinds of things. You need to stop doing that, okay? Because just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you are stupid. You may have made a stupid mistake, but you were just being stupid in that moment. That doesn't mean that's what you are. So look at how you're speaking to yourself, how your inner critic is speaking to yourself, and let it be known. Write it all down so you can see it. And then use these techniques and modalities to help you change this. Because when you start to accept yourself, which is really what self-love is, self-compassion is just about self-acceptance, understanding yourself, knowing what makes you tick, and being yourself in a more authentic kind of way. When you do that, it is going to make your life so much easier. And your magic is going to be so much easier as well. Things will start to fall into place more when you do forgive yourself. You're not going to be getting in your own way of the magic. You're not going to be sabotaging your magic because you don't feel you deserve to have whatever it is you're doing the magic for, or you don't think you could do it. You will start to take the actions that you need to take when the magic brings the opportunities to you or brings the ideas to you. It will really change your life. So it's an important aspect of the craft, and it's an important aspect of the spiritual path. So if you do want to do this work on yourself, the shadow work on yourself, I have a shadow work course. It's called the Wheels of Empowerment, where you're working with the shadow at each chakra level. So you start with the root chakra and work all the way up to the crown chakra, and go through all of these beliefs that you have, and you actually tap them away, because I use EFT as a part of that course. There's rituals as part of that course for each chakra level, and there's also meditations that you use to balance your chakras as well. So it's a combination of those three methods. So that's the Wheels of Empowerment. There's a link in the description field below this video for how you can access that course. Now, if you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Sandra, and I'll see you on the next video.